Welcome to Nourished with Nora, brought to you by Aurora. I'm your host, Nora Latore. I'm thankful to have you listening along. Please remember to like and subscribe to Nourished with Nora wherever you listen to podcasts. It really does help. Welcome to the Nourished with Nora podcast. I'm Nora Latore. I hope your summer is off to a beautiful start. Today, we're sharing the conversation with Chef Andrew Zimmern. Chef is an incredible visionary, humanitarian, philanthropist, celebrity chef, cookbook author. He does documentaries, and we covered it all. We talked about his journey, the deep work that he did to become the leader that he is today. We talked about what he's cooking right now. And so we really talked about how do you not only have fun in your career, but also give back and make your community better. And it was all about food and friendship and joy and the power of deliciousness and patience and how we make a better world. And I walked away so inspired. And my hope is that you do too, and that you find hope in his food and his passion for food. Thank you, Chef, for being here.
Thank you, my friend. Wow, you called me chef. I guess we're in public now.
And fellow Minnesotan, I forgot to mention, I'm also Minnesotan. So I think we first bonded over that when we first met a few years back at South by Southwest.
Well, it wasn't, yes, we did. It wasn't, but I was so shocked and surprised. But I mentioned Minnesota, and then you just very casually said, I'm from Minnesota. And it was, at South by Southwest, you're conversing with so many people, and we were at a salon and both getting ready to sound smart in a large room in front of a lot of smart people. And I just remember us having a lot of giggly laughter and fun conversation. And then 2 hours later, you were at a table on the other side of the room from me. You got very emphatic and almost angry in your voice. And you did something that I always give people as advice whenever they're doing any public talking, because being an older person who's done this for a long time, I have a lot of people always ask me, like, well, how do you speak in public? You sound so convincing. And I always say, a long time ago, someone told me, pretend like you're telling something to someone for the third time and they still don't get it. And there's a tone in one's voice when one does that that's very passionate, and you can still be patient and kind, but it really is like, come on, everyone, you get this thing. And you were talking about the causes that are so near and dear to you, and about how we feed our kids healthy food and end this cycle of degradation, which is really what it is, and usury with the thing, our most precious resource, our children. And I was like, oh my God, I love this person. So yes, from that small grain of sand many years ago, a pearl was born into an oyster.
Instant friendship. I think my hands shot up. I couldn't stay quiet, and it was like I was bursting for our kids. And I'm so thankful that now so many more people are having the same conversation, right? Like I think we're rallying around how do we create a healthier life for our kids, and the power of food is the best chance at doing that. So I'm excited that's becoming more of a national conversation, and we're all like, food is one of the best solutions out there. I know you've been behind it and believe that for a really long time, and you're a dad, so you get it.
Yeah, I mean, going around the world as many times as I've been, and being in what other people say to me, oh my gosh, those are the poorest of the poorest of the poorest people living in the most horrific conditions. And I'm like, well, they're cash poor, but they're not time poor, and they're not food poor. Now some people are all of those things. Nowhere so is that more true than in the West, where you have cash poverty, time poverty, and food poverty existing within the same culture. But it's very rare in other parts of the world. And I remember being in a refugee camp on the Syrian border with Jordan called Zatari. It's actually the world's largest refugee camp. And I remember eating with a bunch of kids, and they were having a meal that included 3 or 4 different kinds of vegetable and bean, what we would call side dishes, a freshly cooked piece of bread that was caught out of an oven, a piece of flatbread, and there was a very simple roasted chicken on the table, And all the kids were served, 3-4 ounces of roasted chicken to go with this. And I sat there and I was like, wow, that's delicious. And that was in a refugee camp. That was the food that I think the United Nations supplies the food resources for that camp. That's what they're being fed in a refugee camp. And I sat there and I said, my kid is in public school in Minnesota. Something is wrong. And I called our governor when I got back from that trip and started to devote a lot of time. And I'm very proud to say that I get name checked a lot by both him and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan. It was really her work over the last, since she's been a community organizer, so over the last 15 years, to move Minnesota into the privileged place of being one of 9 states in America where, no child will have to pay for a meal. And now we're upgrading the quality of food in our schools, and we're trying to take the right approach here. But I made it a big part of my MSNBC series, What's Eating America. And I think at the very least, that the first population that we should be feeding well are our children. And we're, in the most part, ignoring that asset. And I think it is economic suicide as well, because when we don't feed them the right food at the right time in the right amounts, their outcomes are worsened. And we wind up paying for it, treating the big 4 processed food related diseases. I don't call them food related diseases because I've never seen a kid get diabetes from eating too much broccoli. It is a very, very big issue for all of us who care about our planet and our country and our community and our families.
Yeah, I think certain states like Minnesota are taking the lead and showing what's possible and showing that if we do double down on the power of school meals, that it is our best chance at creating healthier kids, a stronger local economy, getting those local farmers to sell into that school that is the largest restaurant in any community. And so I think we're creating these really strong examples around the country. I know you've been a champion of the nonprofit where I'm the CEO of Eat Real.
We save more money in our healthcare system, less pressure on our criminal justice system. Kids just do better in every single silo. And we're hemorrhaging so much money on the federal, state, and municipal levels in areas that we don't have to be hemorrhaging money if we just fed people better. I have said, and it's a little bit controversial, but not to me. I have said many times, I believe it to be a genocidal issue because while that word is really scary to a lot of people, when you look up the dictionary definition, it's fascinating. We have the money to feed kids healthy food and statistically eliminate childhood hunger all across America. It's $17.5 billion a year, according to Rosa DeLauro, Congresswoman from Connecticut, who was the head of the House Appropriations Committee for 12 years and was responsible for putting together all these budgets every year.
Like the dust compared to the trillions we spend on sick care every year.
Well, it's 0.0027% of our federal budget. It's a rounding error. So if we can, and by the way, unlike with adults, with kids, we have places of worship, community centers like YMYW, CNHAs, camps, schools, where distribution points that are already serviced by trucks that have food on them. So it really would only take about 6-8 weeks to do this. And so the fact that we don't do it makes it a genocidal choice. We're choosing to hurt children. And yes, some kids do die of malnutrition in the United States of America and of hunger in the United States of America. And therefore it's genocidal. So, sorry to use that word, but it is.
We have the resources in front of us, but we're not using them and putting them to work to make sure that our kids are fed and fed in a way that creates health for them in the short term and the long term.
That's right. Which is why the work that you're doing with your day job is something that I admire so tremendously.
And you've been so generous in supporting Eat Real. Like, you are just a wingman of so many causes, and you've been out there shouting about us from the rooftops, I feel like, and talking about us in rooms that matter. And I just am so grateful for you. I know you have a lot of causes, and I am thankful that we're under your bright wing.
It's funny that you say that. I've had people say, well, do you think you're spread too thin? And I say no, because everything fits under several important silos for me. Two of the biggest ones for me are children and mental health issues.
Yeah.
And a lot of things fit under those umbrellas,
Yeah.
And I think for those of us that have a platform or who have access or who are in those rooms, opening your voice matters. And not every room is receptive to every idea. So I like to sit there and say rattle off 5, 6, 7 things. And when everyone like leans forward a little bit, it's like, oh, okay, you guys are sobriety geeks. Let's go. You people are, want to talk about, senior care facility. Fantastic. Let's do that. You want to talk about kids and food? Great. Let's do that. I was talking to Governor Pritzker on Monday night of Illinois, someone who we all suspect may very well run for president of the United States if the opportunity presents itself to him, and I think it will be very, very interesting to see. But he is a beyond dedicated public servant who is very food aware, and like my Governor Walz of Minnesota, is someone who believes that kitchen table issues, like actual kitchen table issues, should be discussed at the public policy level much more often than it has been. The Trump Biden election of 5.5 years ago was really the first one where food ever came up even as a question at a presidential debate, and it was a piece of one, and it was mentioned, it quickly went away. And I was shocked at that because, when you just look at what food is, such a huge piece of GDP in this country, when you total it all up, and it's such a huge piece of unemployment in this country, or employment, depending which angle you look at it, and immigration and healthcare and climate crisis management and mitigation and so many issues that are talked about. Food is actually such a large piece of it. I'm like, we really need that cabinet level secretary position that supervises food and not have it divided up under 5 or 6 different departments and then 8 or 9 other sub departments and 3 cabinet secretaryships. Yeah.
Embedded deeply subcategory, but actually are you calling for a food czar, or what would the title be? I love this.
Well, Secretary of Food sounds weird. It hits the ear wrong. But, I do think we have a Secretary of Defense and we have a Secretary of Agriculture. Why shouldn't we have a Secretary of Food? And food is different than agriculture. In the Venn diagram, they have the most overlap, but let the ag department deal with ag issues. And once it comes out of the ground and is ready to go somewhere other than part of our farm to freighter economy, if it's going to be food fit for human consumption, it's food, right? Yeah. We all know what food is. Food is food.
And they work across agencies, the EPA, the FDA, the HHS, and they're really coordinating nutrition security across the board.
Has to be. That's why every moonshot mission having to do with food has been less successful for people like you and I, and less effective for those for whom it could be helpful than it was. Every time, a lot of people listening in may be too young to remember, but the food plate that, famously became much more colorful when First Lady Michelle Obama prioritized a different way of looking at food. It always makes the news whenever they do it, and then it just disappears. Like, you just don't see it anymore, and it's ignored in our public school system kitchens. It's ignored everywhere, and I've been in those kitchens with the people who are responsible for putting food on the plate. And when they need a couple hundred more calories on a plate because they need to make sure that they keep getting their federal money and their money from Hershey's and Coca-Cola and all the other horrible places that money shouldn't come from for kids' meals. They stick another roll and pat of butter on the plate. And I'm just like, this is not what we need to be focusing on. But, those are the battles we fight. It's nice to be on the same side of things with you.
Well, and change is happening. I hope you'll come have school lunch with us soon, because there are food leaders, we call them our Eat Realies or our school food heroes around the country that are giving me so much hope, because they're cooking up change. Their change is on the menu in cafeterias across our country. And we're launching, I don't think I've shared with you, but the nonprofit Eat Real is launching in 20 states. So from Alaska, I just had school lunch in Georgia, and they were putting the most colorful, beautiful asparagus and cucumber and hummus, and it was like local produce and delicious. And so we're really, launching all throughout the country to show that communities want this. This is not red versus blue. This is red, white, and blue. This is happening in purple, red, blue states. It's happening around the country, and change is on the menu. And it's like people are cooking up real change and showing what's possible. And it's delicious. I can't wait. I can't wait for you to come and try it. I can't wait. Well, I want to pivot a little bit and talk about your love of cooking, because you really just make it so much fun. And so I want to talk about, what are you cooking up now that it's summer?
We are a meal in a bowl family, and we do that 24/7, 365. So in the wintertime, I have plates, and, for those that are listening that have seen my Substack or other videos, I do put food on plates there. I just don't use them at my house. And the reason is, when I'm eating at home, we have these big, wide, low bowls. And so we'll have a warm broccoli saute, and we'll have roasted sweet potatoes, and we'll have, some wild rice or something like that. And then I've got some braisy chickeny thing, right? And a scoop of that, and it all sits in the same bowl, right? And I always joke that my family, none of us are Thai, but we would all do very well in the Thai culture, because they like to eat everything with a spoon. And it's what I love about going to Thailand, is that everything comes with a spoon. So I'm very, very happy about it. So whether it's beef stew over, a little bit of homemade spätzle and lots of vegetables and a big green salad to cut through the richness of the beef, it's bowl, 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 bowl. In the summertime, people come to my house and they're shocked, because we do the same thing. So I'll have 3 or 4 different room temperature salads. We eat, sometimes the same things in different combinations a lot. So I'll make 3 or 4 things and put them in the fridge, and a corn and green pepper, like a cold succotash salad. I'll do a tomatoey pepper feta Greek salad. We will take root vegetables that are popping out of the ground as little guys right now, and roast a bunch of them and dress them up with a little vinaigrette, roast some peppers, and put some anchovies and parsley on them. And then they'll just be out on the table like mezza or salatine to eat with something that is put into the bowl, one big piece of meat that's sliced for people, or one chicken that's roasted, or a big fish that's grilled. The big thing right now that everybody sort of wants is, I make a big Asian salad. I love to cook Thai and Vietnamese and Chinese food, and a fish sauce and lime vinaigrette with sliced leftover grilled salmon, grilled beef, grilled pork, grilled chicken, just vegetables, and all the other things that, cucumber, tomato, Thai basil. That seems to be the big favorite right now that everyone sort of is clamoring for. I put a little tamarind puree in the vinaigrette, and some toasted rice powder on it, because you gotta chef that.
The little the chef action.
And it just gets demolished, and it's a great way to eat. we do a lot with beans. I'm on the board of Beans is How. That's the organization in the world with the goofiest name. But Paul Newnham, who I believe is someone who got me involved in it. So I think I'm the only chef involved in it. Well, on the board.
We're very thrilled, and that team is awesome. And
we have a lot of really smart people, but people should be eating more beans. I mean, number one, they're so great for you, but you can do a million things with them. So we always have black beans is my family's favorite. So I always make a pot of black beans. It's actually, shameless plug, if you subscribe to Spilled Milk, people are listening to this after we've recorded it, but today, right now, we just dropped I call it my plain black bean recipe, which is just has a few seasonings and water and black beans. And we have a pot of that in our fridge 24/7, 365, because we can go in a million directions with those beans, and everyone in our house loves them. It's just really, really important for us to have a large variety of things to choose from. Now, that also comes from a place of privilege, right? And I fully admit there are people who are sitting there saying, well, I'm not a chef. I can't make all those things. I cook 1 or 2 days a week, Sundays, and then maybe another day during the week. And then we eat off that for a number of days, right? Because I don't have time when I come home from work every night to cook. So that's number one. Number two,
batch cook, make it easy for yourself. Have a cooking day, make a bunch of dishes so you have variety throughout the week.
100%. And I think what's also really, really important for people to remember is that once you find your resource for fresh, wholesome food, you can start drilling down onto the economics of it. And I found when we reduced our meat intake by about 75% in our house, we started spending a lot less money. And it's another reason why our bean intake has increased. Now, the kids at the house eat a lot of meat. They are, hardcore carnivores. I mean, but, for me, I'm 63 years old. I am eating less and less meat with every single, passing year. I love meat, but I'm almost purely pescatarian, except for the fact that I love chicken too much because I'm a nice Jewish boy from New York.
And I also see you wild game hunting and doing some outdoor cooking. So unless it's like a good chicken or mostly fish, or you've had an outdoor nature experience with that animal, right?
Well, I eat a lot of wild birds, and I eat a lot of wild food. I live in Minnesota. I'm blessed to be able to live in a place where I could technically walk. I don't want to be walking down the road, the side of the road with a gun at 4:30 in the morning, but technically I could walk to a place with my license and shoot ducks in the morning. And I believe that those of us who spend time in the wild and outdoors are the best conservationists there are. Are there some
hunters are rallying right now for outdoor lands. My husband is a hunter, and they are rallying for public lands throughout the country right now.
The majority of us are very, very committed because we're out there. You ask any person who hunts, and 99% of them will tell you the best days they've ever had in the field or on the water. They've never put the gun stock to their shoulder. They're with a friend and enjoying an experience that's second to none in nature. Because I'm in television, people, what would you like to do for a new TV show? It's I'd like to go hunt and fish and then cook it up over open fire. And people are like, okay. And when you talk about dream job, we're talking right now with Outdoor Channel about more episodes of Fields of Fire. Tastemade, we're going to have season 6 and 7 shooting sometime soon for Wild Game Kitchen. And it's the most fun for someone who loves to cook because every animal is different. When you go to the supermarket, every animal is the same size.
Yeah.
Every animal is different depending on the week or the month that you caught it or or foraged it or hunted it. It's different water content, different flavor profile to the animal, wind, temperature of the outdoors, what kind of wood you're using, so many variables. It becomes a yoga. You have to stand there and sort of zen out and be patient with it and just making a lot of astronaut decision making while you're cooking something. And the flavor of fire on food, to me, is second to none.
So primal, and I think you're really connected then to the land and to the what you're consuming, right? Like my kids actually went to turkey hunting, and they like have appreciate their food system more than ever after that experience. My husband was the actual hunter in that situation, but having them like learn about how to safely do that and where our food comes from and the ranch that they were on, our friend's ranch, and yeah, it's really just inspiring and educational. And I do think it was like a peaceful time in nature for them.
It's incredible. Turkey hunting is very difficult. And for those that have never done it, you're essentially trying to imitate mating calls. The nature calls I think is hilarious, and like they'll be like happening now throughout. And I was like, oh, okay, we have a little elk call going on, and it's like it's hilarious. Kids love that. It really is magical. And one of the things that I love about turkey hunting is that it's a springtime activity. And depending on where you do it, you can turkey hunt in the morning and fish in the afternoon, or fish in the morning and turkey hunt in the afternoon at sunset. And it's so exciting. But, to bring turkeys are very skittish. So you really got to be really quiet and really well hidden and bring those birds close to you. And I've only been lucky enough to take one turkey in the wild, and I've probably gone about 10 times. And I still keep going. Everyone says, well, it's a very low success rate. It's not about the bonus is if I get to put food on my family's table. I just like being out sitting under a tree covered up with all kinds of, netting and green stuff.
They look like little monsters, like little camo monsters.
Making weird noises. And I've been doing this a long time. So my hunting career predates the invention of the iPhone. But boy, oh boy, do I love being able, it's so much easier to sit in a blind of any kind if I can listen to a podcast, and not just have to focus on how cold I am. So yes, I love the outdoors. I love fishing. I do love cooking over open fire. And, for those that are interested in whether it's my Substack or these shows, andrewzimmern.com is one-stop shopping for all of it.
Nourished with Nora is brought to you by Rora. I trust Rora products every day to provide clean, delicious water for our family. Not only do the Rora countertop system and filtered shower head look beautiful, they are rigorously tested to significantly reduce your exposure to harmful contaminants by the best labs in the world. I love that our drinking water and bathing water are safer. And honestly, it just tastes so much better. My kids are now asking for 2 water bottles full of Rora whenever they head out the house. Check out Rora.com and tap into clean water today. That's RORRA.com. Thank you.
We'll have to check it out. My kids made a turkey pozole of my dreams with that. With that, it was amazing. But we'll have to check.
That's a meal in a bowl.
Exactly.
We're really big pozole people.
And then you add it as a meal in a bowl. My folks call it in Minnesota BPF, big pot of food. So my mom will like make a big pot of food at the beginning of the week, and my dad's like, "What's our big pot of food?" And I also wonder if it's like a through winter thing that happens too, right? But it is like you have those core hero dishes, and then you can mix and match, and it creates variety and it creates fun, and then you zhuzh it in different ways. You spice it up at the middle part of the week, etc. I just think it makes it easy for families to think about how do we do this in a way that's like feasible for people that are super time crunched. I love how approachable that is. Okay, so say it again though. Where can people go to find some of these big pot of food, recipes? BPF.
AndrewZimmern.com, because there's links there. You can subscribe to my Substack, Spilled Milk. There's recipes without a paywall there. There's all kinds of wonderful things. So yeah, we encourage everyone to go to Andrew Zimmern. It's one-stop shopping.
Do you have any cookbooks coming in? There's
Wow, isn't that a fascinating question?
No, I don't know. I'm really curious.
No, I have my fifth book drops October 28th from Harvest, which is the cookbook division of Clarkson Potter. Of HarperCollins. And I am thrilled. It's a seafood cookbook. Obviously, I'm very devoted to our oceans. You know, kind of got to pick your spots. I can't. I'd like to solve every issue. I can't. I like to focus on things. And, I've been focusing for the last 12, 14 years on how we produce out of our oceans and at the same time protect them. And the two aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, they are wedded hand in hand. The most successful ways in which we can protect our water systems is by producing out of them. 2 billion people around the world work on the oceans. 1 billion people around the world, it's their main source of protein. So you can't just turn it off, right? And there was a horrifically misinformed documentary called Seaspiracy that came out. And it's what made David E. Kelly and I decide very, very, very passionately we were going to get involved and make a documentary that mattered. So we made Hope in the Water, and that birthed this cookbook I co-wrote with Barton Seaver. And he is as passionate as I am about this. And it is called the Blue Food Cookbook. It comes out October 28th. It is available for pre-sale, and I would love as many people out there. Why not buy it now? Just buy it now. We have it on my website at andrewzimmern.com. You can click on one of the tabs there and buy the book. And it's going to be a big game changer, I think, for our industry and for our planet. I hope. It's about eating sustainably in a modern kitchen, and a way to do it affordably and easily, cooking foods that most people shy away from because they don't know what to do with them when they get home with it.
Yeah, like getting a whole fish or going fishing and then bringing that home is a little bit daunting. So you break it down for people. And
or they buy something in the supermarket and they get it home and it's like, wow, that looked fresh, but doesn't taste it. And it's about how to shop for it the right way, how to prep the right way, how to care for it, how to cook it. In some cases, yes, clean it. And I'm just thrilled that we were able to do this book. And I'm thrilled that Sarah Kwok, who is one of the country's great editors, took this project on herself. So we had great help and great support with it. And Eric Wolfinger, who is one of the best food photographers in the world, did the photography for it. So I'm just super, super, super excited. I actually
still get to see it.
Yeah, you're the first people to see it.
Oh, it looks so good. Delicious seafood recipes for a sustainable future. Hope is in the water. So blue food is regenerative food from the ocean that helps regenerate the ocean.
Correct. And it has to be, if we're not able to apply the word sustainable and regenerative to the food that we're eating, we shouldn't be eating it. And I've even extended that out. It doesn't matter what we're doing in our lives. If it's not sustainable and regenerative, we shouldn't do it. And people say, well, isn't sustainability about food? And I'm like, no, there's sustainable economics. There's sustainable attitudes in a relationship with a loved one. There are, everything is either sustainable or it isn't. And we should be engaged in activities that are sustainable, and where applicable, if it's not regenerative, we shouldn't do it.
I love it. Add to cart. I'm going to your website. I'm going to pre-order. And I think if it comes out in October, that's perfect. Like Thanksgiving, holiday gifting. That's like perfect timing. Months. Yeah. For my folks are going to have a seafood big pot of food. So they're going to get a copy. So like I am all about it. Oh, wait, when is National Seafood Month? I don't know.
October.
Actually. October. Okay. Perfect. And it's Yeah, it's Farm to School Month, and we're helping our schools buy more blue food and buy from local sources of Marine Stewardship Council certified seafood, etc. And so we're actually doing a big push with some partners on that for Farm to School, and so I'll share it with folks. I love it. What perfect timing for International Seafood Month. Is it
National Seafood Month?
National Seafood
I don't
Month.
think we can't get other countries to agree on so many things. I don't think we have an obsession in this country with days and months.
Yeah.
And we've run out of so many months that like it National Farm to Table.
Farm to School. Yeah.
Okay. And it's National Seafood Month. 7 other people said, oh, no, it's not National Seafood Month. And I've said, oh, yes, it is. And they've said, well, that's impossible because it's National Pizza Month. And I'm like, well, it's also like we've run out of it. We run out of the days, that month.
We love celebrations around here. We love a good week and a good month. Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. And next May, I know mental health awareness is Mental Health is May. So yeah, we can, there's,
It's a big, that's a big one for me because, I'm crazy owl weird. And I've got everything, I've got more isms than, Britney Spears has sequin halter tops. And it is it is a badge I wear proudly. This is what somebody looks like, sounds like, and behaves like when they're not altogether well. And so I have to take a lot of precautions and do a lot of different things to maintain my wellness. But people who are not doing well look like you and I. It's everyone.
Yeah. And everyone's struggling and going through things, and we're complex people.
Yeah, we got to do a better job of just making sure of taking care of people. If I broke my arm and went to a hospital, there's no questions asked. I'm ushered into an emergency room and I'm treated. If I showed up in an emergency room, not on my meds and perhaps not in the right frame of mind, they may call the police. I may not even be allowed entry into the hospital. And I understand the challenges involved with all of this, but the fact of the matter is that we have very weak mental health parity laws in this country. We have some, and the ones that we have really don't have very many teeth to them. And what's incredible is that, when I was at my sickest, I was so lucky I got treated with just a little bit of dignity and respect and a lot of love. And like water and sunshine and nutrients, I just bloomed under those conditions. And, I own businesses. I have a family. I pay taxes. I think I contribute to society in a way that is beneficial to my community, to my state, to my country, to my planet. I work with a lot of global NGOs, and I have a pretty serious position with the United Nations World Food Program, the largest humanitarian aid organization on planet Earth, which I'm very, very proud of, and several others. And so I think I've shined up pretty good the moment I actually was able to address those issues for me. So this is the face of mental illness, and I'm very proud of that. And I'd like others to be proud of it too. So it's a big goal of mine.
What I think is so beautiful about your story too is that you did the inside work and you got the outside support, and now you can live out your dreams and give back in so many ways. But it's about like doing and prioritizing that inside work and getting that network of that love that helped you blossom, and the support, and being open and vulnerable about it. Like you faced it and you went into the well and looked at it and asked for help and are serious about, figuring out your wellness. Like you have a wellness plan.
It's interesting that you put it that way, because you need someone to sort of take you by the shoulders. When you're dropping your 4-year-old off to school day 3, they're like, I know where to go. And they start walking the wrong way, and you take them. They've got a big backpack that's usually the size of all of them, and you just have to steer them from the back. I kind of feel like that's what has to happen for people like me. I needed someone to hold me from the back and say, no, 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 not there, over here, and get me down through the right door. And from there, other people who had solved my problem in their life took over from there. And we need to do a better job of steering people through the right doors.
We talk about like helicopter parenting. I read a lot of parenting books as a mom of that 4-year-old with that big oversized backpack on. And it's interesting to think about like bumper friendships too, where you're not like you should, or you meet them, but you just kind of bumper them towards, you understand your friends' goals and their struggles. And then you just help bumper and have their back and nudge their backpack a little to the left, a little to the right. I love thinking about that. Our friends are on their way, and how do we just support them in getting to their true dream destinations. And if they're going, away from where they say they want to go, how do you just, bumper and support and usher them towards the direction of their dreams? I love thinking about how can we be that friend for someone. And as we go into summer too, thinking about, even though maybe people are out of school or, but they're going to be in community more, how do we really have our community's backs? And not just having maybe mental health time, but having it be like, how do we really check in on our people and like have those real talks of like, how are you actually doing? Not, like, how are your dreams going? How's your mental health? Like, what if we just asked our friends that more often, and what if guy to guy, girl to girl, like family member to family member, how's your mental health doing is a little bit different than how's it going or what's up,
Well, there's, we have to prioritize vulnerability if we want to get there in this culture. When it's wintertime, everyone's always asking each other in Minnesota, how are you feeling? It's, and they always mean physically, your friends, I think, part of leading with your chin for me is being vulnerable and, never shying away from telling my story as a way to show others that it's okay to be vulnerable and you deserve extra points for it.
Well, you brought it up earlier, so let's just get into a little bit about talking about sobriety. When I met you, you were a sobriety shining star too. Like I feel like now, especially with young people, there are more and more people realizing the problems with alcohol. The Surgeon General just came out with a warning on alcohol, but you've been talking about how it wasn't mental health supportive and for a long time. And so I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that, but I feel like you were ahead of it and showing like also how cool, like you're the life of any room you go in. I see you light up every room and alcohol has nothing to do with it. Like you shine so brightly because you're not consuming alcohol, I feel like. So you like show how cool and fun and alive and vibrant sobriety can be, and that you don't need an alcoholic drink in your hand to do so. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, but I feel like you were giving up alcohol before it was a Surgeon General.
Well, I mean, I'm 33 and a half years sober. It's a long time. But it's given me everything in my life. It's taught me everything in my life. I use the recovering principles in everything that I do. I got the idea for bizarre foods from my sobriety, arguably the way in which, I may die and that may be the most well-known thing that I've ever built. But more importantly, it gave me my self-respect back. It gave me an ability to laugh again. It gave me my life back. It gave me my child. It gave everything that if I listed the 25, 30, 40, 80 things, I can't think of something I have in my life today that wasn't a gift of sobriety. Now, that's easy to say when you've been sober for 33 and a half years, because you look back in the mirror, and it's like, wow, can I even remember 33 and a half years ago? But the fact of the matter is that when I walked into this recovery, I was a suicide survivor, a user of people, a taker of things completely. I was homeless, living in an abandoned building down on Lower Sullivan Street in Manhattan. I stole to to sustain my habit and to quote unquote survive. And I was, my parents thought I was dead. My friends who thought maybe I was still there somewhere, wanted nothing to do with me. And it was, it's difficult for me, and I'm trying to not get into the junkie pride piece of recovery that we all carry a little bit inside of us. But, I've met a lot of people who have bad stories. Mine was pretty low bottom. And, I tried to take my own life in January of 1992, and I woke up and I wasn't dead. And 3 days later, I was in a treatment center in Minnesota, and I've lived here and stayed sober ever since. And what started my sobriety was I came to in a Flophouse hotel room where I had walked in to die, and I walked out of that room and put a quarter in the payphone in the hallway and called a friend and said, for the first time in my life, which by the way was age 30, not proud of this, but I had never before said, I don't know how to do this. I need your help. I never asked for help of any kind. I never admitted I didn't know how to do anything. I was so driven by ego and 1,000 forms of self that I couldn't even see my way around to be honest about what I was able to do or unable to do. So super, super happy, super thrilled that I've been able to stay sober and been able to find a way to give back. And it was really in recovery that I learned about service work that is the sort of the tent pole of my life these days. So yeah, very, very important part of what I do.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. It's so vulnerable. I don't think how do more people be that friend of people that people will know to call and that then show up in the way that they're needed, and how do more people just know to ask for help too, and that it's okay to ask for help, and that we should ask for help early and often.
But being the friend, if you're the type of person that doesn't know how to ask for help, you better start practicing it now because you're going to need it. But the first thing you said is a really interesting question, is how to be that friend. And it's by doing what you mentioned before. It's by asking your people. And by the way, I don't sit there and ask the person at the cash register when I'm, paying for, a pack of gun drops at the gas station. Like, no, how are you really doing? I mean, there's, that's a little much. But when it comes to your group, your friends, your colleagues, to actually ask the question, how you doing, and really mean it, is all that it takes. If everyone did that, we take care of half of the problems that we have.
Yeah, and get specific. Like last time we met, you said you were really struggling with this challenge. How's that going? Has anything else come up? Like get really specific and follow up and then check in on that. Yeah, I think how do we have deeper relationships? And I think we're feeling people, especially with technology and social media, people think they're connected, or they're connected technologically, but then they're not deeply connected. So how do we have that human to human deep connection? And that's another reason I love food, because it's like one of the best times to do that is at the 4th of July picnic, or over the dinner table, or when you're getting a meal with friends. And we used to do girl church, where we would get together once a month and we would go around and just talk about life and love and work and our career goals. And I think there needs to be more guy church of guys getting around and having dinner together regularly.
I love
really
it.
Talking about it. Yeah. And I met some of my best friends in the world that way, that I still keep in touch with and ask them, how's it going?
I just love the idea of girl church. I mean, I got to figure out boy church. And I do like the way you kept it to divided by gender. Because, a lot of things have changed over the course of the 33 years I've been sober. One of the biggest is that I exclusively go to men's meetings. And the reason that I do that is that there's fewer distractions. And also I have more in common with those men about what they're struggling about. And it's a little easier to be honest. And if I was going to have, if I was going to do guy church, it would be with my 3 or 4 closest guy friends, because we could get real with each other faster than I could if I just chose my 4 or 5 closest friends, and some of them happen to be women, some of the other people would not be comfortable sharing in front of them, or being really vulnerable and saying, I don't know how to do A, B, or C. There is something to be said for getting well in a gender specific lifeboat.
Yeah, and then having those wing people around you, and then of course also time for broader community and whatnot. Well, I know how busy you are. Do we have just a few more minutes for me to just ask you like one more question?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to take just a few minutes to talk about for kids. So I would like you to pretend you're like talking to parents, but they can show this video to their kids. So the idea is that like we want to give kids kitchen confidence and inspire them about the power of real food in their lives. So what would you say to kids around the country about why cooking is a superpower and how can they get started?
Well, it's the same thing that I told my son that he was young. Nothing connects people like food. And there's no better feeling in the world than cooking something, baking something, mixing something together and handing it to another person and sitting back and seeing how they look or feel, right? It is what hooked me on this business, this journey, lifelong journey of mine, going back to the first time I ever made brownies with my mom or roasted a chicken with my grandmother. And what I would tell any kid is like, whatever your favorite food is, ask your parents to let you cook it with them. Just cook your favorite thing. And it's incredible if you do that, what will start happening to you. Working in a kitchen is something that some people love to do and some people don't like to do. But I think it's really important for all of us to know how to make our favorite foods. And so start there and see where your journey takes you. And I mean, come on, we eat 3 times a day. Well, I eat 7 times a day. I'm like an otter. I eat 7 times a day, mostly shellfish on my chest. But cook your favorite food.
We can cover image on your cookbook. Next one.
Should have been.
We get tea recipe for the cookbook launch of that. I love this of you as an otter. This is like, I love it. Okay, and so cook your favorite things. And what are a few skills that you would encourage kids to learn early so that they can cook their favorite things? Like what are some like core kitchen skill essentials that you would encourage?
I think the most important thing is patience with yourself. Which is a great life skill anyway, because we're not all going to be good at something right away. But, there's nothing crazier than mixing together your favorite thing, and then you have to put it in the oven, and it takes hours to make. I make my grandmother's meatloaf. I've changed the recipe a little and lightened it up and chefied it around a little, but it takes 2 hours to cook, and then it has to rest for an hour before you can eat it, because mine is very fragile. So it has to be served more than warm, but less than hot. And it takes about an hour for that to happen. And when it rests, all those juices go back to the middle. It's very moist and it's really light and it's beautiful. And it is the one dish that I make where I am acutely aware of my impatience. So patience is hard. And it was hard for me when I was young. But, go slowly, move purposefully, and practice patience because it's a great skill. And all the other stuff, measuring, knife skills, and all that other kind of stuff. Anyone can learn that. Patience is something that you have to practice.
I love it. Patience, and I think it's like the art of like savoring it and really enjoying it and being fully present with it. Okay, is that meatloaf recipe on your Substack?
It is actually on my website for free, and it's one of the most downloaded recipes in the country. Food and Wine gave me some stats that absolutely blew my mind about which ones of my sweet and sticky chicken wings, my grandmother's meatloaf, my crab cake, they've been downloaded literally millions and millions of times. It's staggering.
Okay, well, I'm with my little chefs. We're going to cook your MVPs, your most downloaded. We're going to try it. I'll swap you. I'll send you my Zhuzh Duck California Tater Tot Minnesota Hot Dish edition. So it's like, and kale is the secret power with some really good pepper. Yeah. I'll swap you, but we'll get my little chef's kitchen confident and practicing patience with those recipes. I like the meatloaf patience curriculum. We're gonna sign up.
You would dig the meatloaf recipe too, because one of the things that I did was there's a whole bunch of vegetables that go into a pan. They get sauteed, caramelized in tomato paste, cooled, and then pureed in a food processor, and then mixed with the meat and the breadcrumb and the egg and a little bit of cream. The result is that there's a lot of vegetable nutrition in there, but the better result is that it lightens that heavy, dense, cloying meat quality. Meatloaf has too much meat in it. It needed to be lightened up. And this recipe is
Chef's kiss. I love it. Well, thank you. I'm going to try it. I'm excited. You've gotten me excited to cook and to cook with my kids. And you are an absolute inspiration. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for sharing your journey, your heart, your guidance, for sharing what you're cooking up next and your amazing cookbook. Just thank you so much. You are an American treasure, and I'm so thankful to know you.
I adore you, my friend. Take it easy. Give my best to your family.
This episode was brought to you by Nora. Nora, thank you so much for supporting the Nourished with Nora podcast and helping bring cleaner, safer, and absolutely delicious water to families around the country. Visit rora.com/Nora. That's RORRA.com/NORA to get 10% off your countertop system or filtered shower head today. We hope you'll subscribe to Nourished with Nora everywhere.